In 1227, the world held its breath. Genghis Khan, the great conqueror, was dead. He had forged the largest contiguous land empire in history, a colossal territory stretching from the Pacific Ocean to the Caspian Sea. But empires built by a single visionary leader often crumble when they are gone. So the big question was, what would happen to the Mongol Empire now? Would it collapse into chaos, or would it continue its relentless expansion? The answer came swiftly. Genghis Khan had planned for his succession, and his third son, Ögedei, was chosen as the new great Khan. Ögedei was not the military genius his father was, but he was a skilled administrator and a consensus builder. He established a permanent capital at Karakorum and implemented a more structured system of governance. But don't think for a second that the conquests stopped. Ögedei had a clear mission to finish what his father started. Under Ögedei's command, Mongol armies pushed further into the world. One force, led by the brilliant general Chagatai and Genghis's grandson Bachu, thundered into Europe. They swept through the Rus principalities, conquering cities like Kiev and Moscow. Then they turned towards Central Europe, delivering devastating defeats to Polish and Hungarian armies at the battles of Legnica and Mohi in 1241. Europe was in a state of sheer panic. It seemed nothing could stop the Mongol horde. The Pope called for a crusade, but many European rulers were too divided to mount an effective defense. Europe was on the brink of being completely overrun. Then something unexpected happened. News arrived from the heart of the empire. Ögedei Khan was dead. According to Mongol tradition, all princes of the bloodline had to return to the capital to elect a new great Khan. But Chu and his forces turned back, and Europe was, by a stroke of luck, saved from further conquest. While they would continue to rule over Russia for centuries, their push into the heart of Europe was over. Meanwhile, another Mongol army was focused on China. Genghis Khan had conquered the north, but the wealthy southern Song dynasty remained defiant. Ögedei launched campaigns to subdue them, a long and grueling war that would take decades to complete. The death of Ögedei led to a period of political instability. For a few years, power shifted between different factions and family members, but the empire held together. The next truly transformative leader would be another of Genghis Khan's grandsons, Kublai. By the mid-13th century, the massive Mongol Empire was becoming too large and diverse to be ruled by a single leader from a single capital. It naturally began to fracture into four successor states, known as the Four Khanates. While they still acknowledged the supremacy of the great Khan, they operated as largely independent empires. In the northwest, covering modern-day Russia and Eastern Europe, was the Golden Horde, founded by Bachu Khan. They controlled the lucrative trade routes of the region and exerted immense influence over the Russian principalities for nearly 250 years. In the southwest, encompassing Persia and the Middle East, was the Ilkhanate, founded by Kublai's brother, Hulagu. The Ilkhanate was famous for its cultural achievements, blending Persian and Mongol traditions, but also for its initial destructive campaigns, including the infamous sack of the city of Baghdad in 1258, which ended the Islamic Golden Age. In the heartland of Central Asia was the Chagatai Khanate, named after Genghis's second son. This region was a crossroads of cultures and the traditional Mongol nomadic homeland. And finally, the largest and wealthiest of them all was the Yuan Dynasty in China, founded by Kublai Khan. Kublai Khan was a visionary. He moved the capital from Karakoram to a new city he built, the city of Dadu, which is modern-day Beijing. In 1271, he declared himself Emperor of China and established the Yuan Dynasty. He finally completed the conquest of the southern Song in 1279, uniting all of China under Mongol rule for the first time in history. Kublai was a different kind of ruler. He embraced Chinese culture, promoted arts and sciences, and governed his vast territory with a sophisticated bureaucracy. He wasn't just a Mongol conqueror. He was a Chinese emperor. His court, as famously described by the Venetian traveler Marco Polo, was a place of incredible wealth, wonder, and international exchange. This era, from the mid-13th to the mid-14th century, is often called the Pax Mongolica, or the Mongol Peace. It might seem strange to associate the word peace with the Mongols, but after the initial brutal conquests, their rule brought unprecedented stability across Eurasia. For the first time, a single power controlled the vast landmass from China to the Black Sea. They policed the trade routes, making them safer than they had been in centuries. This security led to a revitalization of the legendary Silk Road. The Mongols weren't just warriors. They were pragmatic rulers who understood the value of trade. They established a postal relay system called the Yam, which allowed merchants, messengers, and diplomats to travel with speed and safety. Caravans laden with silk, spices, and porcelain traveled west from China, while gold, silver, and new ideas flowed east from Europe and the Middle East. It was a golden age of commerce and communication. This wasn't just about goods. It was about the exchange of ideas, technologies, and cultures on an epic scale. Gunpowder, the compass, and printing technology, all developed in China, made their way to Europe, where they would eventually transform warfare, navigation, and society itself. Art styles, scientific knowledge, and religious beliefs also traveled along these routes. Missionaries from Nestorian Christians to Buddhist monks could travel freely. The world became more connected than ever before. This period of intense cross-cultural interaction laid the groundwork for the European Renaissance. However, this interconnectedness had a dark side. The same trade routes that carried silk and spices also carried disease. In the 1340s, the Black Death, a devastating pandemic, erupted in Asia and traveled west along the Mongol trade networks. It reached Europe in 1347 and wiped out an estimated 1/3 to 1/2 of the population. This catastrophic event weakened the Khanates, disrupted trade, and contributed to their eventual decline. By the late 14th century, the Mongol Empire was unraveling. The Yuan Dynasty in China was overthrown by a native Chinese rebellion that established the Ming Dynasty. The Ilkhanate in Persia disintegrated into smaller states. The Golden Horde lost its grip on Russia, and the Chagatai Khanate fractured. The era of Mongol dominance was over. So what is the ultimate legacy of the Mongol Empire? It's complex. They were undoubtedly brutal conquerors whose campaigns caused immense destruction and loss of life. But they were also administrators who unified vast territories, created a period of unprecedented peace, and fostered a global network of trade and cultural exchange that reshaped the world. They connected East and West in a way that had never been done before, accelerating the pace of history. The world we live in today, with its globalized networks of trade and communication, owes a surprising debt to the empire forged by Genghis Khan and his descendants. Their story is a powerful reminder that history is never just black and white. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this journey through the Mongol Empire fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for a deeper descent into history. Let me know in the comments which empire you'd like to see covered next. See you in the next video.